Welcome to another episode of the Alpinists of Enterprise Architecture, this time in a very special setting. My name is Thomas Wagenknecht. You've heard me before on this podcast. I'm a senior manager at Accenture in technology, strategy, and advisory. And today I'm joined by Michael Stedler, who is the co-founder of Softwaregini, and I'm residing at his place, a former unicorn place here in Berlin, and we're recording this shortly before Christmas. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Thomas, for having me. So many thanks for the opportunity to talk to former colleagues, of course, right?
Exactly. We have a long history. We've been both working at Accenture, started about our careers there. Then you decided to go the startup path. And Softwaregini is really focused on delivering value to enterprise architects and on software selection. And this is the topic for our talk today as well. But not so much maybe on your software solution, but on the broader scale and some of the industry trends. So if we give it a go, what is your view on Softwaregini? What are you doing, and why is software selection so important at the moment?
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. So of course we keep it like super product agnostic today, right? So we just give like some market insights, like insights from enterprise architects, so what they are now challenged with. So what's like basically Softwaregini? We are a SaaS platform. So like if you would go with a category, I would say like an IT governance platform for basically software evaluation. So with Softwaregini, you can easily gather demands from business units, assess requirements, like enrich requirements, and afterwards, with a push of a button, you can check either the market for suitable solutions, or, and this is more important also for today, you can also check your internal IT portfolio from the enterprise architects, for example, to see are there any suitable solutions that could fit the need of my business unit. So this is basically what we are made for. Yeah, full stop.
Right. And what is your view on the current market situation when it comes to software selection? I think many of our clients dealt with the big topics like the S4 migration and everything like that. But I have the view that at the moment, enterprise architecture is more agile, is becoming more lean, and this comes along with a lot of smaller applications. What's your view on the market?
Yeah, good point. I would also come from more from an IT portfolio room on this, because like I guess there are basically two ways how software portfolios evolve basically. First idea would be like to say, okay, we develop the software ourselves or the solution ourselves, maybe from scratch, maybe on platforms like S4HANA or maybe ServiceNow. So this is like one way. But the other way, of course, is to say, let's just buy stuff from the market, right? So let's find the right software on the market and just implement it in our portfolio. And I think what's important here now, like as an like outside in view on this, so because this is also always something we ask our customers during like sales calls or discovery calls, is like how large is your portfolio, right? So with how many applications are you dealing with? And one major aspect is the like small and medium-sized enterprises. They rather deal like with like 500 applications, sometimes 400 applications. So I guess like this is the majority for like 500 FTE company, what we see. But let's get like to Fortune 500. Let's get to DAX corporations. Here we see, corporations deal with at least 1,000 applications. The largest I have seen now is like dealing with 15,000 applications every day. And I think we should bring this into this perspective a little bit, because the whole software market, I would say like for the Western universe here on the world, is like roughly 130,000 listed software products. If you go with a software platform like G2 on online, and now let's imagine you have like 15,000 applications. So you are like, just in terms like rough numbers here, not like mixing up maybe self-developed solutions, you almost have 10% of the whole software market already in use. And why? Now I'm coming back like to the urgency that's coming up. So when you have like roughly 10% of a market in use, you have a solution for every kind of problem that you're dealing with or that the business units might request here. And this is what is like what we see on the market. So although we have digitalization for, I guess, like 1 decade, 2 decades already, there are still business units coming every day demanding CRM capabilities, new marketing solutions, like resource planning applications. So every kind of demands. And like large corporations now say, well, we should have something already in use here that we could reuse. And this brings us also to the enterprise architecture topic, right? So because the enterprise architects also have to see, is there anything already on the market? Are there capabilities we already can like fulfill here? And this is why software selection, coming back to your question, is like becoming more and more urgent in larger corporations, because corporations don't want to buy more software. They want to leverage their investments they already have made.
Right. Totally agree. And I think from my perspective, it's also like there's a growing complexity in many IT architectures of our clients that I'm looking at. And it is driven both by IT and business, because IT is looking for microservices and for, the solution to this problem and not another one, right? And business, on the other hand, is also looking for agility, and they want a specific solution. So it's a growing complexity in the end in the IT architecture for many of our clients. And I'm wondering, for the big systems, again, for the SAP systems and so on, organizations typically have the time and money to really invest into the procurement process to try and find out, what are really our requirements, where do we want to go, how much does it cost, and maybe invest in negotiations. But for these smaller applications, I reckon that it's difficult for enterprise architects to get around it, right? And so to understand, what we have, what the IT architecture already has, and what do you make out of it, right?
Yeah, there are many levels to what you just said, right? Maybe coming also from a market insight, maybe. Like the larger DAX corporations, like I talked to some of them already, say below 50K, we don't look at the software demand. It just like goes through the door and gets bought, right? And so this is also what you're coming up with, like lack of resources, both in procurement, but also, of course, for the enterprise architects. And you just mentioned the right thing. In the last years, many IT departments were really driven by setting up their S4HANA, like digital core platform, setting up their ServiceNow, for example, as a second core digital platform. And this really took like capacity, resources, like from the enterprise architect, from the procurement departments, to really focus on this like big investments, right? So these are, of course, very, very big investments. And so what is happening? So like still, although you're like working on like building a new digital core, like the ERP system with S4, still like what's going around that doesn't stand still, right? So business units still want here a new solution, there a new solution, and they always, they don't understand why things take so much time, right? This is like a typical topic. So why does like an S4 transformation takes like several years or a decade to get done? So business you don't have like the time and like the to wait for that. So what's happening? The architects are very focused on both kind of deals. Of course, it's like large investment. This, of course, also by procurement is here very invested in getting this through the door, and like, but still like this, all those satellite application, what you just said, like small, medium-sized applications, sometimes also non-SAP stuff. It's just get like ignored from a demand perspective. And many architects argued for a long time, well, doesn't matter, right? So we built our digital core here and want to make our S4 transformation. This will change everything. This will be like really like enabling us to digitalize everything in the company. But what we see now is like all the smaller applications you have, this is like pouring like sand into the gears of like an organization, right? So it really hinders everything to work smoothly, or how also architects were thinking about getting it done. And this is really something that like hinders also like the ROI, or getting the ROI of the S4 transformation.
Absolutely, and I think it's this trend is only amplified recently, especially in the European market. To some extent, I think that the North American market has already gone through that, or is further down the road. But I see so many clients coming to us at the moment asking for cost savings, because they're just like, we have this zoo of applications and we need to consolidate and refine in order to get our costs down. Now, what I'm thinking in terms of enterprise architecture, getting back to the role of the enterprise architect, what do you think is the value that an enterprise architect can really bring into these discussions?
Yeah, good point. First of all, making like also like what we see on the market. So enterprise architecture has really like, let's just say, amplified as a topic, right? Not like billion-dollar companies are employing enterprise architects, but also like SMEs are employing enterprise architects, because they also see the need here. And so first of all, like the task of enterprise architects is really to align like business strategy with IT, with processes, right? And this is like a bit like of a overlap he has to deal with. And in this term, for example, I would say, what is his role? What's like his his objective here is really, first of all, to provide transparency on the landscape. This is like something IT departments heavily invested in the last decades, like LeanIX, RDoc, all these enterprise architecture tools are really skyrocketing right now. I mean, like SAP bought LeanIX for some reason here, of course. But what's the issue here? What is something that the enterprise architects need to work on here is to like they gathered all the strategic data, build capability maps, build like business support maps, which kind of application supports which kind of capability here. But this is sometimes not very digestible for business units, or even like the IT itself, like the demand management, or sometimes also the IT procurement. And here, like the goal of enterprise architects is really to make this like transferring like this strategic data into like operational value towards like really on demand level, right? That people can work with that they understand, okay, what can do what for my demand here.
Right. And what do you think are the main, or maybe we talk about a little bit about the counterparts of the enterprise architect then, right? So I suppose it's typically the IT that's a given. You also have the business, and here I suppose I seldomly see that they have a common language. We often say go for a business capability map, but in reality, the first time that the business sees the business capability map is, when they're close to procuring a system and somebody brings it up. So they don't have a common language. I then think with procurement, there's even fewer interactions between the enterprise architect and people from procurement. But when you select the software, this is just a really crucial role, because it determines what's your TCO going to be, total cost of ownership. And, are you taking configuration A or B? And this also determines the features you get and the value you get from it, right?
Definitely. Very good point. Because like software selection, right? If you do it like properly, there are business units, there's like the IT governance with demand management, you have the enterprise architects coming with like this kind of portfolio view into it, but also you have like security, GDPR, regulatory teams who have also like stakes in this process, up to like the final procurement department. And let's like take the reverse engineering here. The procurement department really needs transparency already, like on a functional level, of what is doing what here, what is capable of what, if we do like a multi-vendor evaluation, or especially because only with the transparency, like what is really needed by the business, what is really like the IT view on it, and like in a digestible way, as I said it, they have like a proper procurement position towards the vendor. Everybody we talk with say like the market was really like vendor driven, vendor focused in last years. Like there are vendors like increasing the prices 25% per year because like there are no other opportunities, alternatives. So coming back like maybe to your point, right? So the interlock between business, demand management, architects, and procurement needs to be needs to be better basically. Because we see the architects have, for example, their Lina X, right, with strategic data capabilities, like everything is assessed and like a strategic roadmap maybe. But this is something that also somehow needs to, like with the demand, needs to be interlocked into procurement, right? So we see that procurement is talking to architects, but they don't get, like, as you said, this language type of thing, right? It's like talking Dutch with the German people. So it's like, of course, somehow we understand each other, but it's very difficult to make like get all of it out of it. Yeah.
And what were so when you think about some of the projects in the past, maybe with your clients, what were success factors on how to make that work then? How did they address these challenges?
Yeah, I mean, like, of course, now I come back, like, of course, like from our product perspective, right? And I would now focus especially on architects looking on this. I think the first crucial success factor, I mean, like, as I said, this is also why Lina X, RDoc, Alphabet, you name it, have this kind of like massive growth in the past years. You need to have transparency on your portfolio. Without transparency on a portfolio, also like as an ongoing machinery, right? Because like this IT portfolios are like dynamic. They evolve every day. Without that, you don't have like this common ground.
But what do you do with that transparency? Is it so that you can then say, look, I have solutions A and B and they're similar, so there's room for consolidation, or maybe you don't need a new product like that, or what is it you do with the transparency?
This is already for some already way too far.
Okay.
For some, it's still about knowing which application is in use.
Okay.
And I want to like go to the peak of a mountain already.
We're Alpinists.
We're Alpinists, right. So I recently talked to a large machinery corporation, like a billion dollar company already, with like decentralized architects. They had 5 instances of the same enterprise architecture tool in use. And for some, it was like undisclosed that there was like multiple data silos on what you would rather see, like to want to centralize here, right?
Okay, yeah.
So this is like, I guess like this is a peak. Like the peak is even for architects, this can happen. Now they are of course like consolidating that.
But so say you have the transparency.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, now I got it again. Yeah, good point. So like first of all, transparency on what is actually in use. Like really, sometimes it's just a list, right? So it doesn't have to be a tool. It doesn't have to be like an RDoc or Lina X that you have in use. Sometimes it's just like proper to have it like an Excel list or like in your CMDB, software asset management and ServiceNow. This is the base you have to establish. And also you need to have like an idea at least how to continuously update this, right? Because shadow IT is still a major topic for many of them. And yeah, like in the past it was all about like large enterprise solutions, but nowadays it's also about like smaller ones. There are like some customers have like 10 different project management tools in use, right? So at first it doesn't seem to be like an issue, but now let's get like teams work together, and now that it gets like a process issue. And now coming back to you, so afterwards, after we have the transparency, of course, I guess like here the real architecture work begins, right? Going into, okay, what's like our business capability map, right, for our corporation? Where do like which application can be like mapped onto to then go, I think like it was the last podcast you have, like then go into this really like rationalization initiatives. Still talking about rationalization. How do we approach this usually? I mean, like if you have Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, and S/4HANA in place, of course you will have a business case to say, let's invest into like a change management project, because it's also change management that you have to do here, to really get like all the users onto, let's just say SAP, for example, right? So here you have like this kind of investment in business case, but for like also mid-sized applications, sometimes you don't have like the time, resources, and money to say, let's get into a rationalization project, because it doesn't fit, or it's can't like finally
stand on that, right? And I often see, especially with the big vendors, they're really good at sales, right? So they convince the business that exactly their solution is needed and that their data model is the best to have. Like you say, you have Salesforce and Adobe, and they're really fighting tooth and nail so that these systems are operational and will be in the future. So for the enterprise architect, it's a really difficult situation. I think at the moment, I suppose, it's a good point in time because there's cost pressure increasing that hasn't been as big in the past. So maybe there's a burning platform at the moment, but still, yeah.
Good point. I mean, like costs are, I mean, like for you as a consultant, you come in like and you make cost cutting, right? This is like a typical project. So and it's also the most obvious usually. But one more important thing, and this is like also a typical like architecture topic, is complexity.
Yeah.
And complexity, I'm not meaning like point-to-point integrations, not meaning like just on a technical level, but also really on an organizational level, because if it's coming back to Oracle, Dynamics, and S/4HANA, you need resources, you need knowledge, internal knowledge for that. You need to build up those capabilities internally,
Right.
to maintain, develop, or like work on those platforms. And this is also what we see in terms of like lack of professionals you find on the market, that IT managers say, I need to get rid of certain technologies.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the experts anymore, and sometimes maybe the consultants are too expensive on a long
Yeah,
term.
definitely.
Right?
Yeah. No, understood. Well, but then, so we've been talking a little bit about, the transparency, the rationalization. Now, say you have a moment where the business comes with a new capability that has to be built up, and you really need a new system for this. How do you go about this? What are success factors here? I suppose with Gen AI, there's probably a good chance that you can get the business to create requirements faster. Probably also comes with some risk. How do your clients typically approach that?
Yeah. So what's our approach to it? From our like platform perspective, we always come from a demand, from a business, from a requirement, not from like the capability, if you like to say it. So we always say, what are the use cases, what are the features, what's the process that the business needs, and based on that we go into like technical solution assessment, right? I'm always coming from the business side here. And yeah, definitely. So of course we also use at certain points AI functionalities to support business units, for example, in like generating the requirements, auto completing the requirements. Also, for example, I think LeanIX has also a decent feature already where we can say, okay, you have this capability, based on this capability, this SAP module might fit to you, but also like those are maybe like solutions that also come from a market might be relevant to really help not only the business but also the architects to understand what's the topic that we are like, what's the real like flesh to the bone here that we are talking about, because capabilities are sometimes a bit too hollow to really like go in depth into like software selection or making the make or buy decision, right? So it's also make or buy has become a super difficult process for the corporations, because the market is massive, right? For every kind of capability, for every kind of industry, you already have like solutions in place that you could buy.
Yeah.
And here it's like you have to go very in detail to understand, do we really need to buy one, or do we maybe need to like build it ourselves on core platforms that we, for example, set up? Yeah.
Yeah. How does maybe going one step into the features a little bit? How does Softwaregini help with that, for instance? I mean,
So Softwaregini is meant to be like a solution not only for architects, not only for business, or not only for procurement, but to really bring all of the teams in one place to really facilitate the demand from we need something with a problem statement up to the point where we say, okay, we know what we want to bring into procurement, bring into an RFQ, RFP process here. What we do is like basically, first of all, we help business units to easily gather demands. Like for example, with Softwaregini, you have to set up a few bullets, like I think 500 digits. And with that, we can set up automatically requirements catalogs, not only on use case capability level, but also really in depth on feature level. And with that, and now we come back to the architects. You always have a question, or our users have a question. Okay, do we need something for a market? Do we already have maybe a solution in the portfolio that could fill this new capability you were talking about? Or maybe we really need to develop something ourselves because there's no solution at all. And what we do then is we have like out-of-the-box integrations to the enterprise architecture platforms like Linux, like RDoc, like Alphabet, like Horizon maybe. And we synchronize the IT portfolio from the enterprise architects, enrich their data with market data we bring to the table. Like we really have like data from websites, from knowledge base articles, from SAP, from tender processes that were facilitated on our platform. And with that, we enrich the portfolio you have and make it really searchable on feature level. So we say like the business units brings like the idea of features and use case they want to like get done, jobs to get done, and you bring your EA data, and we combine this, leveraged with AI capabilities to really bring both languages together here. What you just said, we try to build a common language between business and IT to like make a proper decision.
and that's cool. That's cool. And I think that's really good because I mean, especially for the large projects, probably it's many companies cooperate with consultants and let them help them create these requirements. But even then, I think, many of the businesses, obviously, they have a lot to do and their job is not to create new requirements, right? And so using AI for that, at least to create something to start with and then narrow it down on the really specific things for you as a company that are strategically differentiating or that are just special and you really need it, probably is really, really helpful for them.
Yeah, definitely. I would maybe get like a bit more like Softwaregini agnostic again, right? So definitely. And first of all, I think there are already like, if you have like a proper safe environment, right? So you shouldn't use like public GPT, to be honest, right? To get those things done. But still, definitely, both consultants and internal resources should leverage like those kind of capabilities. It doesn't have to be Softwaregini that you use here, definitely. So there are possibilities. Still, also from our perspective, we say there will still always be the need for consultancy because like also larger corporations are special processes. They need like a bit of guidance also for the businesses. Okay, what are the things we should like take as a question to ourselves maybe to derive the right requirements. And this is also how it's lived on our platform. So for larger selections, ERP, CRM, SRM sometimes, there are still consultants, for example, using our requirements engineering features to like accelerate their capabilities.
Cool. So maybe, wrapping up a little bit and maybe slowly coming to an end, let's have a view, into the future. I recently spoke to the former CTO of a large airline group, and he said now with Gen AI, you'll see, the death of software as a service. You see the death of these big software providers, and everything will be Gen AI generated. What's your view into the future? Is it everything will be make? Is it everything will be buy? What is yours?
You mean like everything will be make or buy in terms of we just use GPTs and or not anymore like off-the-shelf software. Or, Good question. So for our point of view, I mean, so far the market is like really developing rapidly. We see that the Gen AI, like GPT, Perplexity, Anthropic, like what you name it, right? The larger ones, still lack in data, especially in data. I think this is like the major topic also why we are used, because we don't just use like a GPT algorithm and say, write me some requirements or assess or look for some suitable solutions. But as I said, we bring like data from knowledge base articles from the vendors themselves. So SAP, like, it puts data in themselves onto our platform. And this is something this is not public sometimes also. And with that, we like leverage data, of course. Still, I'm super open how this all will develop. I would say, and I think Volkswagen just announced today in the CIO magazine that they want to build a co-pilot for software development and say, okay, now maybe we don't need developers anymore because we just write what we need and the co-pilot is developing the code or writing the code. Honestly, I see in the next years, next decade, maybe 2 decades, I don't see a big change on that. So I guess we will still have like standard software. We still have large platforms like ServiceNow or SAP still being used, because so far we didn't see the use cases, to be honest, right? To get this done. Yeah.
And Gen has been around for at least a year now. So let's see.
Yeah, let's see, because also like the data sources for them also gets more and more limited, right? They started with the internet. They now use maybe YouTube to teach with the models, and this like gets more and more narrow. So where do you get the data from? So, but well, let's see, right? Let's see. I'm super.
But at least there's a decade for enterprise architects, or maybe 2, right?
I mean, like for the enterprise architects, I mean, like there I don't see any big change, to be honest, right? So you will always, so where let's drive it, right? So otherwise you would have like one big Gen AI, like managing all your IT landscape, building your IT landscape from scratch or coding it itself. I think based on legacy that we see, like AS400 is still a topic, right? For many. So I don't see this will take some time.
We call it ivory tower GPT.
Yeah,
right?
Maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Vijay, thank you so much for inviting me to your offices and having this talk. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Definitely.
And thanks to everyone listening in or viewing in. And see you next time on the next episode of the Alpinists of Enterprise Architecture.
Thank you very much.